What's up, chat? We're back with another stream. Loving what I'm tasting. Ooh. Vibrations. Ooh. Running for my life. Running for my life. Fake glory. No one wrong with me. It's all complete. Moment is medical. Moment is medical. No fake glory. Without information. Ooh. Okay. So we finally fixed the bug, so this should work. I'm gonna go test that. Oopsie. Sometimes. Okay. So. How did I handle it? What's up, bruh? Shut your ass up, pal. Okay, so inventory system. No, we just have that. Looking shot. Go. Okay. Test. Just like 2 people.
Whoa, Fabutan is turning 47?
Yep, 47 years of helping Canadians glow and boost vitamin D.
Woohoo! Let's celebrate!
For a limited time, $47 gets you 2 weeks of full body red light therapy, or 50 tanning
Okay.
minutes, or a 50-minute hybrid red
Go.
light and tanning experience, or 2 flawless spray tans. Plus, Fabutan is waiving the $45 enrollment fee on all Lifestyle Pass memberships. Remember, it's about how you feel with a tan. A smart tan from Fabutan.
When we're together, amazing things happen. For a limited time, join the Y and receive your first payment free plus pay no join fee. Your membership includes access to programs and drop-in activities designed for the whole family. First payment free plus $0 join fee on now.
It's my house, I hate my home, it's my house. I hate drugs, but I like. In my house, I hate my yes, it works. Pause up my phone, baby, just leave me alone. Saw all my flaws, baby, tell me what the fuck I was doing at me. Do you want from me? I never ever want for anything. I need a crown emoji real quick. Oh, you make me hate my face so much. Win. Wedding ring. Just as me, just as you. should be a. Was yellow. This one should be more brighter, this one should be more darker. Hold on. Where's this? Make this background transparent.
With Premium, you get to focus
More
on the
padding.
music. Explore a vast catalog
Right.
of millions of songs without hearing ads. Or download your playlists to listen to them anywhere. You can also play your favorite songs in any order, with the freedom to skip forward and backward as much as you'd like. Your audio, your control. Tap the banner to learn more.
Where's the text? I want this to be on auto scaled. Actually, no, text scaled. No. Away.
From the kitchen to the bathroom sinking, your steps keep me awake. Don't cut me down, throw me out, leave me here to
For the
waste.
photos, make this.
Now I'm slipping through the cracks of your cold embrace. So
Please, please. Let me down slowly. Sympathy, I hope you can show me.
if you wanna go, then I'll be so lonely. If you leave me, baby, let me
Down slowly, let me down, down, let me down, 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 down.
let me down, down, let me
Down, down.
let me down. If you wanna go, then I'll be so lonely. If you leave me, baby, let me down slowly. Cold skin, drag my feet on the tile as I'm walking down the corridor. And I know we haven't talked in a while.
Okay, so now we go to win stuff, and then what is it? Okay, Wins label. What's the name of this? I'm gonna make this Wins. One. Definitely text imports. Wins. For you here now, let me hold your hands in. Okay. Too cold for you here, and I'll let me go. For you Okay, so let's go test this. Test. Both are 0-1s. Okay. Too cold. It's too cold. Works. Let's move that to here. It's off for some reason. I need to go fix that.
What's your emergency? He's gonna kill me. He killed all the others. Who killed the others? Ma'am? He found me.
Yeah. What is the say? Hello, what's up? Okay, so let's go to Dubai. With the love of my life, got glitter for skin. Light. Okay, so we're gonna go watch a UI tutorial.
Welcome back to my Roblox GUI tutorial series. My name is Braldev, and in this episode we'll be discussing about UI layouts with things like list layouts, grid layouts, page layouts, and things like that. So I want you to imagine that we're creating an inventory system, and we want to be able to display all the items in our inventory to show on one single frame. And the way that we would need to do that is to display each and every one of them onto the frame so that they have their own space within that frame. And to show you an example of what I'm talking about, what we're going to do is go to Starter GUI, hit the plus sign, and we're going to insert a Screen GUI. Next thing I'm going to do is insert a frame inside of the Screen GUI. I'm just going to...
Yeah, what is that?
Bro, what is this? Does this game think I'm a math professor or something? Okay. What is 8 minus 4? Well, if we really think about this, if we're subtracting 4 from 8, we're literally taking away the 4 from the 8. So I think the answer is just 8. Let me put that here, and let's see what our result is. Bro! Alright, let's think about my life choices for a minute. Okay, but anyways, what we just saw was a question that the game gave to us, which was out of a Screen GUI. And we're going to hit the plus sign here, and we're going to insert a text box. So this is what our text box should look like, and we're able to drag this around like normal, but you might notice that we can actually select this text box inside of our studio, and right now it's selected or focused text box. Then it's going to change the text of this text box to whatever I just typed in. We can delete this. Welcome back to my Roblox GUI tutorial series. My name is Braldev, and in this episode we'll be discussing about UI constraints and size modifiers. So when we've been working with GUI elements inside of our Roblox games, we've had to maintain the size of these GUI elements to make them look good inside of our Roblox games, regardless of how big or how small our screen is, whether we're playing on a phone or whether we're playing on a TV, it doesn't matter. But what if that's not enough? What if we want to have more control over our size modifiers to be able to scale our objects as we want them to, or to be able to automatically rescale them, or even add size constraints to make sure that GUI elements don't become too big or don't become too small? That's the purpose of some of these instances that Roblox has provided to us to make sure that we can maintain the size of our GUI elements, and that's what I'm going to be showing you how to do inside of this tutorial with the instances that Roblox has provided to us. So what I'm going to do is go to Starter GUI, and I'm going to insert a Screen GUI, and
Siri's dictation was driving me crazy, so I switched to Whisperflow. Here's why I'll never go back.
I'm going to insert a frame and move it to the center. This is like annoying. This. So the first element that I'm going to show is called a UI scale. So I'm going to hit the plus sign on the frame and search up a UI scale just like this. And this only has one property, which is called scale. Now, the basic idea behind UI scale is that it takes the GUI element and all of its descendants and it scales it proportionally so that it maintains the size while also scaling it upward or downward. So if I were to change the scale of, let's say, from 1 to 2, then what it's going to do is it's going to double the size of the GUI element. And if I were to do it with 3, then it's going to keep doing that. We can even do it the opposite way by reducing the size of it in half. And what we can do with this, actually, is change the anchor points to 0.5 and 0.5, and then move it to the center just like this, so that when we change the UI scale, it's going to change the scale from the center of the frame rather than the top left corner. So this is a pretty neat feature with UI scale, and one use case that I can see with this is if you were to use Tween Service to smoothly animate the size of a frame with its descendants, and I think that's a really good use case of using it. Now the next object I want to show is called a UI size constraint. So what I'm going to do is delete this UI scale, and I'm going to hit the plus sign, and I'm going to insert a text label. So as you can see with this text label, it's currently bigger than the actual frame itself, so it's clipping outside of this GUI element. But what if we wanted a way to automatically resize the frame to make it so that it fits with all the GUI elements that are contained inside of it? We can do that by using a property called automatic size, and by default it's set to none. But if we were to drop this down, then we have 3 options here to choose which axis we want to affect the size for. So what we can do is select X. So as you can see, the frame's size automatically adjusted to fit the size of the text label. And if I were to, let's say, insert a grid layout, and let's say really quickly I wanted to change the background color to something different, if I were to quickly duplicate all these text labels, then as you can see, the frame is automatically adjusting its size to reflect these text labels. But as of right now, I have it set to X only, so if we were to set it to X and Y, then as you can see, the frame is now adjusting its size to reflect on all of these text labels, which I think is a pretty neat feature. So now there's 2 to let UI size
Wait, now I'm starting to debate if this is what I
for
need.
you it look good. So if I were to show you an example of this, I'm just going to quickly disable the text label. I'm going to insert a image label just like this. Right click, copy. So by default, if we insert a UI aspect ratio just like this, to be within this width to height aspect ratio when we're using these GUI. Sure that when we size it, so if our height aspect ratio when we're using these GUI elements, and I think this is a really practical use case of using this. So we've just went over some examples of using these size constraint modifiers, and I hope you found this video to be helpful when it comes to being introduced with these size constraint modifiers that you can use for your own bar and a coins counter on the bottom of it. And we also have an image label to show the health and also the currency. So once you have this down, what I want you to do is I want you to use these objects that I taught you to maintain an
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech from Wix.
Welcome back to my Roblox GUI tutorial series. My name is Braldev, and in this episode we'll be discussing about UI layouts with things like list layouts, grid layout. So those are some things. So this is in what style do you want it to be? Vertical alignment as show is called a within a frame, those pages. Layouts, and now inside of this frame, what I'm going to do is insert a UI grid layout just like this. So now what we have here is a frame that contains these text buttons that have a grid layout that displays it like this. And with this page layout is used for each one of these frames. So if I duplicate this frame, then what's going to happen is there's going to be a second page that's going to be for these buttons, just like I said, to go to the next panel right here that utilizes different types of frames and different types by layout, because it encourages me
also
to
not what I'm
continue
looking
making these
for.
videos for you guys. And if you want to get access to my scripts, these are viewport frames, a very unique type of frame on Roblox that displays 3D objects on a 2D screen. This allows us to create things like shop display images, minimap systems, and many other things. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create these viewport frames and use them for your own Roblox games. So with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Now that we understand it, let's implement viewport frames to go to the right side, scale it up just to going to insert a view here. I'm gonna go scale instead of offset. So I'm gonna say rescale one more. Pretty standard object that I'm actually going to viewport frame is to directly put these models inside the viewport frame itself. So I'm going to take this part and drag it inside the viewport frame. And now, as you can see, the part is being rendered inside of this viewport frame rather than
that's
our
cool.
in-game workspace, as you can see over here. Now, you might be thinking that this is actually kind of like a weird position for this part to be in. Like, why does it look like that? It looks like that because Roblox is using a fixated camera that's set in the origin of the game, and we can't exactly change the position of this camera unless we create our own camera or change it to a different one. And we can actually do that through a specific property. So we can actually change our studio's camera. Then what it's going to do is it's going to replicate the studio's camera inside this viewport frame. So if we move around
actually
inside
really
the
sick.
world, then the viewport frame's camera is also going to mimic what the studio's camera looks like currently, which is actually really cool.
But the thing that's unpractical about this is it doesn't exactly work when we play the game. So if we go and hit test and hit play, then what we should see is that this viewport frame is no longer updating with the in-game camera. And that's because there's a difference between the studio's camera and the in-game camera. So if we play the game, Roblox is essentially creating a copy of the studio camera and putting it inside of this viewport frame without updating it, because we're not using the studio's camera. This is our in-game camera. So there definitely are some tricks that you have to look out for when you're using viewport frames, but this is essentially what a viewport frame is. And we can do some pretty cool stuff with the inside this viewport. Local viewport frame equals script.parent. And then what we're gonna do is say local part equals viewport frame dot part. So now what we're gonna do is create our origin new.
You love building high-performing websites, but you don't love having to chase clients down for.
What we're going to do is we're going to set radians. Viewport frame is going to do is we can now go to our character in position to 0, 0, 0. The viewport frame. For viewport frame, we're going to hit the plus animator, as you can see right here. It's pretty cool. One thing I would like to insert, display showcase type of thing. And basically how it works is when I out like this, it's kind of freaky looking, but I mean, this is still something really cool you can do with viewport frames. And I figured that I would show this to you in case you ever decide to use this inside viewport frame. Over this viewport, the character, and basically how it works constantly. It's a lot inside of shop systems where if we want to display like a model of some sort, then we can have it. You can see the viewport.
That's actually really sick.
Viewport. We're going to bring us to mouse in the close parenthesis. Make a bunch of characters just like that. Local that we need this character. The C frame to be a function. So we're gonna say, and this is where we can make it so that the character zooms in for a second, and then it continuously rotates until the user lets go of their mouse outside of the viewport frame. So if I were to show you what this would look like in service, just like this, enter say local frame.angles open close.
Okay, well that's actually really sick, but that didn't help me at all. Is it?
I made a sword animation, and this is how it looks. Let me show you how. First, I found a sword in the toolbox that I liked, and then edited the tool grip to be able to animate with the dummy. Then I rigged them together, and then I could start animating. The first animation that I made was an idle animation.
That's moon animated though, that's the difference.
Here is how to create a sword in under a minute. First, start with making a simple sword handle. You can make this however you want, just make sure to set the name of it to handle with a capital H, then create the sword. I used wedges, but you can use whatever shapes you want. Then insert a tool into the workspace and name it whatever you want. Then we can adjust the tool grip by searching up Tool Grip Editor in the plugins section of the workspace, or use the link in description, then adjust the grip. Your weapon may not be attached to the other parts, so we will create a weld, go to the link in description, and set the primary part to the handle, and then create a weld to the primary part. Set the animation the asset ID, put the tool into starter pack, and you will have a working sword.
Okay.
Keeping track of what you're learning just got way easier. I'm Jeremy, I'm a designer at Codecademy, and here are Bailey and I's favorite things from the...
Yo, what's good with y'all?
How to make basic... Ooh, okay, this is a good playlist. Okay, since I don't want to bombard you guys with these videos, I'm gonna make the swords and stuff off stream. This is gonna be all for this stream. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.